Larry tried to kill me.
Yeah. I was so thoroughly disgusted.
I mean, think about it. Why does it make you special to do what you do?
Packers jumping around. They rush forward. Plenty of time for John. Now squeezes, steps up in the pocket. Elliott can run inside the 10. Head first. He off the 5-yard line. My goodness.
Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground and still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line.
Results of Ryan Clady and Bob Miller. Third and long 3. Going deep. Oh, and he's got Thomas. Goodbye. Touchdown. Here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm got him free to the 30, to the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and sports topics related. I'm your host, Bronco Bill. All right, guys, before I get into it, just want to get a shout out to Avatar. Always in the house. Always appreciate you being there. Your support. Thanks so much, Avatar. Appreciate it. Okay. There's a hot topic that is out there, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But first off, I want to just touch briefly on the Broncos' past game against Tennessee, and then one other segment before I get into the meat of the show. And boy, I'll tell you what, hang on to your seatbelts, guys, because it's coming. All right, first off, Denver at Tennessee, coming off a bye week and having 2 weeks to study the Tennessee Titans, you would think the Broncos would come out and put up some points. And they did. They put up 10 points in the first half, 10-0. They could have had that going into halftime, but it looked like to me that they went into prevent defense, and we all know what prevent defense does. Yep, prevents you from winning, or in this case, prevents them from going into halftime 10-0. Tennessee gets a touchdown, 10-7. Denver gets the ball to start the third quarter. They come out, move down the field somewhat, punt. Tennessee has momentum because of the touchdown right before the half. Okay, Denver's defense played solid. They really played solid. I mean, they stopped. And I said in my show last Friday that in order for the Broncos to win this game, they had to keep Derrick Henry under 100 yards rushing. I think he got 60-something or something like that. So the defense did their job. Well, they didn't on one critical play. And that was when the Titans did a flea flicker. The Broncos' secondary and corners kind of crashed and came up for the run. I don't know why. I mean, I understand you got to come up at some point, but you always have to expect the unexpected. And they didn't stick with their guy. And the flea flicker worked. Receiver caught the pass on the right sideline, escaped a couple of would-be tackles. Touchdown. Final score, Tennessee 14, Denver 10. But that's not the worst part of it. Well, it is because we lost. But Denver had a chance to take the lead. I mean, not take the lead, but win the game. They marched down the field. 4th down, Russell Wilson throws an interception in the end zone. That sealed the victory for Tennessee. But here's a more startling statistic that has come out after that game. The Broncos have played 9 games. They are averaging 14.6 points a game. That's the worst in the NFL. Denver has never had a worse offensive production than that. Never had. And this is alarming. And I'm going to get to the meat of what, not me. I'm not saying this. This is going to come from people in the know. I'm just relaying it. So I'll get into that after the next segment. If I want to touch on that, Avatar, thank you so much. You're right. It was 17-10. I forgot about the field goal they got. Yes. Denver had a chance. They had a chance to tie that game. Forced overtime. Didn't happen. Okay, let me go to my next segment real quick before I dive into the meat, like I said earlier, in regards to this show. And I'll get into that. All right. The NFL and the Chargers are being sued. Oh, okay. Let's find out. Obviously, it's Denver related, and here it goes. Denver Broncos special teams player Aaron Patrick is suing the NFL and the Chargers, claiming mats placed on the sidelines at SoFi Stadium caused him to suffer a torn ACL. Patrick claims momentum carried him into the sideline area where an NFL official who monitors TV timeouts was standing. In an attempt to avoid the man, he had to step on the mats that the stadium workers had put down to cover up the NFL instant replay sideline monitor cables and cords. Patrick claims all parties should have known the mats presented a dangerous hazard to players. Patrick, not Tim Patrick, Aaron Patrick. Patrick is suing for unspecified damages, including lost hours and future earnings potential. Patrick's attorney, Williams Berman, no association to Chris Berman, said, and I quote, SoFi Stadium was built at $5 billion and should have the state-of-the-art equipment to protect players' safety and not the use of $100 mats that you would use in a restaurant kitchen, end quote. Ooh, those are some strong terms. But, I mean, here's my thought. If you have a $5 billion stadium, wouldn't you think that maybe you would want to take the cables and the wires off of the field and cover them with mats when these guys got cleats that obviously can catch the mats? Why wouldn't you build a trough underneath behind the benches, underground behind the benches? That's, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet, doesn't matter, whatever the specifications are, behind the benches, underground. And when the cables need to come up, they come up and attach right there. And the machine is right there. So you're not going to run into the machine. And if you do, you're probably not going to tear your ACL. I'm just saying, on a $5 billion stadium, you have all this capability for high-tech usage, high-tech or new technology, new engineering technology. Why not use it? Why are we going back to these cables on top of the ground? Now, I know the camera guy who goes along the back of the benches, all the, near the stands, he's on a retractable. Yes, they have to have cables, but they're way back by the stands. They're not where the players are going to run. And if they do, they're going to slow down, I would imagine, slow enough to not get to that point. I've never seen a player run into any one of those movable cameras. Never have. So that's my point. I don't get this. I hope he wins. Because maybe they'll change things. I mean, if they're talking about safety for helmets and things like that, I mean, his career could be over. Absolutely over because of a torn ACL on a freak incident that could have been prevented if they would have used some of that $5 billion to put the cables underground. Just me, just my thoughts. All right, let's go to, let's see, Rich, an old guy forgetting something. No, never happens. It never happens. Well, I don't know. Never mind. That's a good point, man. Good point, Rich. Let's see. He also says, Rich also says, the suit will be super interesting to see how it's resolved. I agree. I mean, is it probably going to be hush-hush, I would imagine. It's probably, in my opinion, I don't know, it could be washed under the rug, so to speak, under the carpet. I mean, the NFL has a lot of ways of going, so I don't know. I mean, the Chargers have been sued numerous times because of leaving, Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego, not upgrading Qualcomm that the Spanos wanted. I mean, there's been a lot of lawsuits from the city towards San Diego. I mean, towards the Chargers. So from San Diego. So did it go anywhere? No, because they're in LA. So, I mean, he benefited. He didn't have to pay for anything related to that stadium being built. Free money, so to speak. Yeah. So I don't know, Rich. I don't think it'll go very far, but who knows? And if it does, it'll be behind closed doors, most likely. Okay. All right. Let's go here. C, that's a C in the house. Always a pleasure. Thanks so much. That's my son, by the way. Okay. Let's see. Richie says you also missed that he's specifies contract dollars he will be missing. It will well be over 200,000. Yeah, could be, absolutely, because he's not. I mean, I don't know his contract, so I can't say this verbatim, but I would assume that he's covered. His checks are still covered. Due to this injury. I don't know. Sometimes it's written out. I'm not sure, but it'd be a shame if it was, because that's not cool. That's not good at all. Okay. We're going to get into some really, I don't want to say alarming, disturbing, because those kind of things are related to crimes and things of that nature. That's not what this is. That's not where I'm going with this. But if I have to use those terms or those words of alarming and, just mind-boggling, whatever, this would definitely be it as it relates to the Denver Broncos. Okay? Now, the title of this show, if I recall, is, you're right, Rich, I forgot. But I'm going to my topic. So I wrote it down as a power struggle. Okay? There's a reason why the Broncos look like they do. Yes, injuries have a big part of it. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. But it's much, much deeper than that. And I know that a lot of you may have already heard this, because this thing blew up like wildfire. When I heard this a couple days ago, Mundungus Creevy sent it to me, and my eyes got wide open, and I did all my research I could to get to the bottom of this. Oh yeah, thanks, Rich. I don't have my phone with me, and so Denver Broncos are in trouble, and this is why. Yes, you're absolutely correct, and here's why. And I titled it "Power Struggle" because it is, and this is alarming, extremely alarming, because it shouldn't be this way. All right, here it is. And like I said, you guys might have already have heard it. It blew up a couple days ago. Mundungus Creevy, like I mentioned, sent this to me, and here it is. The Broncos' real problem is twofold, or should I say two people, Hackett and Wilson. Tyler Columbus, former Denver Broncos, so he knows what he's talking about, but he also did his research to make sure that it's legit. Tyler Columbus on Altitude Sports said, after conferring with others in the know, he said this, and I quote, Hackett and Wilson had a disagreement on the offense, and there has been some behind-the-scenes conversations as to how they should be calling plays. More concerning to me meaning Columbus, more concerning to me is Russell is losing his mind out there. All right. He comes to the line using audibles. Are you ready for this, guys? He comes to the line using audibles from Seattle. And the players don't know what the heck the audibles are. He's using code words that the guys don't know what he's talking about. Holy smokes. Is this because he's not grasping the offense of the Broncos? Is it because maybe he wants Hackett to think his way? Maybe it's because he's forgetful. I don't know. But that is alarming. Seriously. I continue, and I'm still in the quote from Columbus. They come back to the huddle, and the players say, what are you calling? We don't know what that is. End quote. Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? Seriously. Maybe that's why he needs to wear the wristband, so he can look down and go, oh, shoot, that's not Seattle. That's not what I was thinking. And I understand he's been on the Seahawks for 10 years. So it's pretty much ingrained. It's like second nature. But my goodness, he's been with the Broncos for, 9 games, offseason OTAs, he didn't play preseason. Nobody did. But anyways, he's been with these guys. He's done, he's done these workouts with them privately. Wow. Wait a minute. I just thought of this. If he's doing all those things privately, was he trying to implement to the wide receivers those codes from Seattle? Those audibles from Seattle? Because remember, I don't know if you know this or not, but he audibled out last week on that 66-yard touchdown pass. Yes, he audibled out of that. Hackett said so. He even said so. It went to Virgil, a rookie wide receiver. But did Virgil know maybe the audible call? Was it a Seattle call? Don't know. But it just dawned on me that if he was working privately, was he trying to implement his own offense? I continue. Okay. Okay, here it is. On a run play, he checked down, Wilson. He checked down to something Glasgow said he didn't know what it was. Well, of course, it's Seattle's check down. Hackett wants to call his plays. Here's the problem. Hackett wants to call his plays. Wilson wants to call his. So there is a power struggle, big time. Absolutely power struggle. Now, I understand that, when quarterback comes in, they want to do their own plays because that's what they're familiar with. That's what they like to do. Okay. Some like to be in shotgun. Some like to be in a pistol. Some like to be under center. Some don't like to run. Some do. When Peyton Manning came to the Broncos and Kubiak was the head coach, they merged together what Peyton liked to do and what Kubiak liked to do. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes there was a little struggle. I understand that does happen. But there was a cohesiveness. There was a mesh. There was a connection. Not happening here. And I'll get into that in a little bit as to why I think and feel it's not happening here. Okay. I continue. So I just said, so that there is a power struggle. Now, Mark Schwereth on the herd, when asked if Wilson, and now remember, Mark Schwereth is also a former Bronco player, so he knows what he's talking about. When asked if Wilson is being stubborn or does not want to change, Schwereth said, and I quote, I see a lack of of adherence to a system by Wilson. When I watch the Broncos, I see no rhyme, no reason they don't set plays up. Whoa. So wait a minute. So if they're not setting plays up, does that mean that Hackett's giving him a play? Wilson says, I don't like it, and immediately discards it and goes to his own. And then that play kind of, let's say that play works for 7 yards. And then Russell wants to do a run play, and Hackett wants to pass it. And he goes, what the heck, I'll pass. So you see what I'm saying? There's no consistency. And that is what Mark Schwereth is saying. He played the game. He's a Super Bowl champion. He knows what he's talking about. He played with John Elway. He knows what it takes. Okay? I continue. They have second and third string players on the O-line, and Wilson's going to drop back and throw passes 42 times? That's stupid. That's Mark Schwereth saying again, I'm quoting. When you put a quarterback in a position to fail, don't be surprised when he's sacked 8 times. And this is Mark Schwereth, not me. It says, you're the dumbass to put him in that position. End quote. That's not me saying that. That's Mark Schwereth. And he sees it exactly the way it is, just like we do. But he sees it more in depth because, he's a former player and understands what he's seeing a lot better than we do. I quote again, if Russell says he doesn't like this or he doesn't like that, that's a Hackett problem. End quote. There you go. It's a power struggle. Hackett wants to be the head coach. But I don't firmly believe in my own heart of hearts, of Bronco hearts, that Hackett is a true leader. Because otherwise, no, we're running this play, period. You don't like it? Okay, you can sit down and play. That's not going to happen. No way would it happen. But sometimes you have to put your foot down, just like a child that wants their own way. Sometimes you have to put your foot down and say no. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes you take things away from them and they start crying. Well, just like Melvin Gordon was crying inside, I want to be the starting running back. Well, Hackett puts him in. And I'll get to why I think and feel why Russell Wilson may really be in control. Okay. All right. I continue. Now, here's my thoughts. And I want you guys to respond on this if you would. Here's my thoughts. Did Wilson come to Denver because he felt that he could mold the rookie head coach in Nathaniel Hackett to think his way? I mean, legitimate question. Think about it. This would never happen with a Mike Shanahan. This would never happen with a Gary Kubiak. None whatsoever. First-year head coach. You want your players to like you. You want to get the best out of them. You want this, that, whatever. I don't know. Madungus and I were talking, and he brought up that question. So I'm going to credit him for bringing up that question. I don't know. Maybe it's true. First-year head coach, first-year offensive coordinator. I don't know. It's a great, great possibility. I mean, after all, he's got his own office. How do you think that goes over with the other players? I dare say probably not too well. I wouldn't like it. Hey, Justin Simmons has been there for 9 years. Other guys have been there a long time. They don't have their own office. In comes walking Russell Wilson. I want my own office. He gets it. I'm not too sure that that's going over really well. All right. Before I continue on, some other questions. All right. Richie Rich says, I also heard that Wilson's wanting to be seen as the reason. Checking, in my opinion, checking out of runs and into passes prove that. Well, that's true. And he likes to go deep. He absolutely likes to go deep. And you have to check down when you see your receivers cutting underneath. You have to check down. Don't throw in the double coverage or triple coverage or whatever. And I know we have a very porous offensive line. I understand that. But holy smokes, you cannot check out of a run and then throw a deep ball on fourth down. I'm not saying he checked out or checked out of that. I'm not sure. I don't know. But it's interesting though to ponder that. It's obviously he wants to run his own system. He wants to run his own game. And it's not working. It's absolutely not working. And when you have the worst scoring offense in the NFL with 14.6 points a game average, yeah, it's not working. Madungus Creevy chimes in from Denver, Colorado. Going to the game tomorrow with the sun. Hope you have a good time, man. Enjoy yourself. All right. It almost seems like Wilson's trying to cover for Hackett. In what way? In what way do you mean he's trying to cover for Hackett? Meaning that this is Hackett calling the plays and he's not audibling, or what exactly do you mean? Are you referring to? Let me know and I'll put it up. Sounds good. Let's see. Madungus also says, I think it makes more sense that he wants to be seen in the reason for winning. He will never seen as that guy in Seattle. I'm sorry. Rich said this, not Madungus. Oh, that's a good point. Although they're not winning. That's the problem. They're not winning. They're 3-6. And everybody's making fun of Russell Wilson and his commercials and, his let's ride thing, which he's not saying anymore. So, yeah, he wasn't the guy because they had the running back, but, and they're obviously their defense, but, to say that he wants to be seen in Denver, absolutely. He wants to follow in Elway's footsteps. He wants to follow in Manning's footsteps. At this point in time, he looks like he's following more in Drew Lock's footsteps. Sad to say. That's just me. Okay. Madungus chimes back in. Audibling out of a play because he thought the play might be stupid. Yeah, that's a good point. Because there's been a whole lot of weird calls. But if he's audibling out of those plays and he's going with his own play and it doesn't work, I don't know which one of them is wearing egg on their face, Wilson or Hackett. But there is definitely an ego trip going on, a power struggle for sure. Hackett's not Hackett is not bowing down to Wilson. He's not giving up. In fact, he's basically digging in his heels. But then so is Wilson. But if you think about it, Wilson has the final say on the field. So it's interesting. It's really interesting none of us really know if he's audibling out. We can see him maybe check it off, coming up to the center and motioning here or there. We don't know if that's a decoy. We have no idea. But when it doesn't work, I always say it's a Hackett call. But then again, I lost a lot of favor in Hackett after week one. Okay. Let's see. So let's go here. Richard Rich says Hackett gave Wilson credit for one throw to Virgil, but how many others did he change which failed? That's what I'm saying. We don't know which ones failed. Well, I went back to earlier part of this segment. If he's calling Seattle audibles and he's calling codes that they used in Seattle, of course they're not going to work because the guys on the field have no freaking idea what he's saying or what he means. Think about it. You're out there and you all of a sudden hear an audible and you're like, what the heck is that? I never heard that before. And then you just, a receiver maybe just run down and go, okay, I'm just going to run down 10 yards and cut in. And then Wilson's throwing it to the outside. Receiver's running to the inside and it's incomplete or it's intercepted. Maybe that's why. That's why when I said a little bit earlier that I thought maybe Virgil and Wilson were on the same page on an audible because that dude was wide open and it went for a touchdown. And it was an audible. Just saying. Not sure. Just a hunch. Just a hunch. Okay, I asked the next question. Wilson also has his own office. Do you guys think and feel like I do that really irritates and ticks off the people who've been there a long time? Or maybe they've only been there for 3 years or so, 4 years, doesn't matter. A guy comes in off the street, so to speak, from another team, and he gets his own office right off the bat? Seriously? I don't know. That's just really weird. But that's strange. That's strange that they would just give him his own office and say, hey, yeah, give him the keys to the city while you're at it. I mean, holy smokes, man. Okay. Now, I ask another question. Should Hackett be replaced after this season? And if so, who's the best fit to bring out the real Russell Wilson? Well, I've talked to several people. Madunga said he would love to see Dan Quinn, along with, I believe it was Schottenheimer, the son, as the offensive coordinator, and then having Clint Kubiak call the play. Or excuse me. Yeah, call the plays. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. What I'm not for is this. We've gone through 6 seasons already, guys, with losing records. And, none of it's been worse than what? 6 wins? 7 wins? Nothing's been worse than that. Nothing. Even when we had Tim Tebow, we were 8-8, and we won the division. It was a sad year for the AFC West, but who cares? We won the division, beat the Steelers with that great throw from Tebow to DT. You guys saw that in the entry or the intro. So we haven't been that bad, even under Joseph or Fangio. And now we are at 3-6. That's unheard of. Pathetic in Broncos country. Yes, I think Hackett should be replaced. And Dan Quinn, I would welcome him with open arms. Absolutely. I'm just not sure that's going to happen. I don't know if George Payton's going to give him a second year. I don't know. I don't know if the owner is going to say, no, you ain't giving him a second year. Nope. We didn't hire him. He's not our guy. We're going a different direction. I really see that could happen. Absolutely could happen. Sure. Dan Quinn, Schottenheimer, and Kubiak calling the plays. And keep Evero. Absolutely. Defense is solid. I say that is exactly what we need to do. But first and foremost, how in heaven's name do we get past this impasse between Hackett and Wilson? Is that something that can work out? I don't think so. They're 9 games in. It still hasn't worked. That's what bothers me. Neither one is giving ground. Hackett doesn't want to give ground because then he's not the head coach. Not the head coach. In title, yes. In actions, nope. Wilson doesn't want to give in because that's the power struggle he had in Seattle. He wants to control. It's an ego trip. It's a control focus. But I think if somebody like Dan Quinn came in with Schottenheimer and those experience, he would have to back down. And I also don't think that they would make the entire Bronco offense as you got to do it my way or no way. No, I think they would compromise just like Kubiak and Manning did. And it worked for 2 Super Bowls, 4 AFC West championships. It can work. But you have to be willing to give ground a little bit. And I don't see that in Nathaniel Hackett, and I absolutely do not see it in Russell Wilson. And that bothers me because I like Wilson. He's got talent. He's got ability. He still has some gas in the tank. I understand that. And I like that. But I don't like it at this point in time because it's not working. And all you're doing is pissing off and frustrating the rest of the players, especially the defense, who is working their tails off to keep the Broncos in these games. You don't think they're frustrated? Just listen to the press conferences. I know they tame it down, but they're still very, very frustrated. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to all right, let's go here. I don't think Russell works as hard as he did 8 to 10 years ago, and it's showing his play. He's older. I mean, he's what, 33? He's older. He's not going to be like he was 8 or 10 years ago. That's obvious. But it also, in my opinion, has to do with the play calling, the headbutting, the ego trips. That's where it really stems from. And that's what shows more to me. And I knew something was wrong. I absolutely knew. I said, is he injured? Is his shoulder still bothering him? Is it something else? Yeah, it is something else. It's called stalemate. It's headbutting. And nobody wants to give in. Until that gets straightened out, or we get a new head coach that puts his foot down and says, absolutely not. We're going to work together. We're going to make this work. I'll give a little, but you got to give a little. And until that happens, this is the result that we are stuck with, guys. Remember, Wilson signed a 5-year extension. I know we have him for at least 2 or 3. Signed a 5-year extension, guys. One of them has to either change or one of them's going to be gone. And you know it's not going to be Wilson. Just saying. It's not going to happen. Okay. Good point, Rich. You're right. First of all, with John Fox, you're right. But John Fox also gave in a little bit to Manning. He also gave in to him. They worked connectively like spokes. Absolutely. And that's what you have to do. We all do that in our workplaces. You have to. I mean, there's ego trips all over the place in workplaces. From top down, from people working side by side. You have to give a little. Each person does in order to make it work. Neither one of these guys, in my opinion, wants to do that. That's the problem. And I don't know if it's going to get corrected at all. I personally don't think it will. Until one of them cracks. And I dare say I don't think it's going to be Russell Wilson. Until one of them cracks, you're going to see no more than 5 wins this season, if we can even get to 5. All right. Okay, good point here. Marshawn Lynch called Russ a head guy. Do you think maybe the struggles has never really seen before, maybe eating his confidence? Yeah, possibly. Absolutely. I mean, Seattle didn't have a really good offensive line, but they didn't have this bad of a one. But that's because of our injuries. You know, Seattle basically didn't have injuries. They just didn't have good offensive players or offensive line players. So, and then when they did have good offensive line players in their Super Bowls run, yeah, sure. Russell Wilson was all world. Absolutely. But in Denver, you're right. It's a different story because he has a very, very porous offensive line. No doubt about it. Absolutely no doubt about it. Yes, good point, Rich. Kubiak was only in Denver for 2 seasons. First one Super Bowl, then after Manning retired. You're right, absolutely. But that year that he was a head coach above Manning, they still worked together. They worked it out. They knew they had to. I mean, you got Kubiak, who's experienced as a head coach. You had Manning, who's experienced as a quarterback and Super Bowl champion. You knew they had to work. Kubiak, the Super Bowl champion, as a backup to Elway in 32 and 33. So you knew that there were egos there. But they put those aside to make it work. That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to compare Manning and Wilson. I'm comparing the way the head coach and the quarterback get a system that works and meshes together like spokes. They have to work together. If they don't, then, like I said, this is the result. Absolutely the result. Oh, sorry, guys. Hit the microphone. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Let's move on to the last segment, which is this upcoming Sunday game in Denver, the 2-7 Vegas Raiders against the 3-6 Denver Broncos. Oh, what? This isn't the NFL game of the week? Come on, man. You serious? Yeah, we're serious. I'll be surprised. Well, I do know that we have Mark Schwereth. He's going to be the analyst for this because I saw that in the piece where he was talking about the situation between Wilson and Hackett. So I know he's going to be the analyst at the game in Denver. So at least we got somebody who really knows the Broncos and can dissect it. So that'll be a good watch just to hear what he has to say. All right. If Denver can't beat the Raiders at home, but a Colts team led by a former player with 0 head coaching experience in Jeff Saturday, Denver most likely won't win another game this season. Absolutely. Now, yeah, and by the way, that game was played in Vegas. Wasn't played in Indianapolis, played in Vegas. Jeff Saturday was the center for the Indianapolis Colts when Peyton Manning was playing for him. He has been out of the league for 7 years. Been in the booth, analyzing. Sure, the guy's knowledgeable. He knows, but he's also smart. You know what he did? He's not calling the plays. He didn't call the plays in that Raider-Colt game. Absolutely not. He turned it over to somebody who knows. Oh. Hello? Maybe Hackett should do that. Huh? Maybe Hackett should do that. Turn over to somebody who knows how to call plays. And that's what Jeff Saturday did. He said, I don't know. He even said on live TV, interviewed, I don't know how to call plays. I've never called plays. I call offensive line schemes, blocking schemes. I've never called plays. So he's smart. He turned it over to his offensive coordinator or whomever he trusted to call the plays. Boom. Colts beat the Raiders. Hackett might want to take a page out of that. Anyways, okay. Last time these two played, it was Vegas 32, Denver 23 at Vegas. So, this game's in Denver. Does that mean that the Broncos have an edge? Well, this may shock you. Shocked me. The Broncos are favored by 3 points. Well, you automatically get 3 points for being the home team. But that tells me that the Raiders didn't get any points. I know their record is 2-7. The Broncos are 3-6. But holy smokes, it's a pathetic 3-6 and a pathetic 2-7. Denver should win this game. I don't know how. Not when they're averaging 14.6 points a game. But the defense can hold the Raiders to 10. They can. Absolutely they can. I don't know if they're going to. But if we're scoring 14, all we have to give up is 13. So, this Sunday, do I feel the Broncos are going to win this game? Well, I've called the Broncos to win the games the last 4 or 5 weeks, and that's only happened once. Not sure, but I'm going to continue going with my Bronco orange and blue support. I got to give it to them. They've got to win a game. Somehow, some way, they got to figure this out. Get the Eagles aside and let's make this thing work. Denver, in the last game, scored 23 against the Raiders in Vegas. Is that possible again? Sure it is. I just don't think so. Denver, 20. Raiders, 17. That's what I think is going to happen. 20-17 Denver. They're at home. The crowd needs to be loud. We all in Broncos country can't stand the Raiders. So you got to bring it loud. There's going to be Raider fans there. They always travel. They always will. They always do. But don't sell your tickets to Raider fans, whatever you do. But anyways, bring the noise. Bring the thunder. And don't leave at the end of the fourth quarter if it's overtime. And don't leave halfway or last 2 minutes of fourth. Stay there, guys. Show your support. Okay? Do it. That's all I'm saying, guys. Show your support. All right? Because I'll be yelling my head off in this den right here, screaming my head off. Well, I'll be on the neighborhood with Glenn because Madungus Creevy is in Denver, Colorado to watch the Bronco game with the son live in Power Field. So maybe he'll bring the magic and a Bronco win. But I'll be on the neighborhood this Sunday with Glenn and when the game kicks off. Okay. Once again, 2017 Denver. That's what I think. That's what I hope happens. One of these times I have got to be right. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Really appreciate it. The MHRT Network crew appreciates it and shows all of us. Thanks so much, guys. Before I get out of here, let me just remind you about the other shows. Like I mentioned on Sunday, it's going to be The Neighborhood with Glenn Hauser and myself, Bronco Bill. We're going to be doing play-by-play and commentary and all of that about the game. So if you can't watch the game and you want to listen to us, we really appreciate it. That goes off at game time on Sunday. And then on Monday, we have the Cluster Puck podcast. That's Cluster Puck with a P. That goes live every Monday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It may be changed this coming Monday because the Avalanche do play at 5:30. So that may be changed. So please check that out. That's with Nick and with Britt. It's a great show. Good insights on the Colorado Avalanche. Then on Tuesday, we have the 5280 podcast. That features Madungus Creevy, his really good friend Glenn Hauser, Boggins, and Cam. That goes live every Tuesday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Wednesday, we have the Wild Wild West. That features a fan from every AFC West team, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. That goes live every Wednesday, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30. And then on Friday, this show, Broncos Breakdown, with me, Bronco Bill, goes live every Friday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Until Sunday, guys, and the game, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. And check us out on the neighborhood when game starts this Sunday. Let's go Broncos. Get a win and beat these Raiders. Until next Friday, guys, we will talk to you then. Take care. Bye-bye.